We all kind of think of AI as this flawless, all-knowing oracle, right? A perfect machine that has every single answer. But what happens when that oracle is confidently, completely, and sometimes just hilariously wrong? Well, let's dive in. So get this. An AI with a straight face claimed that a study found fried dough pastries were great for surgery. Why? Because their flavor supposedly has a calming effect on patients. I'm not kidding. And that right there is a perfect, if kind of delicious, example of what we're talking about today: AI hallucinations. It's a fantastic question, isn't it? These systems can write poetry, they can code complex software, they can even pass the bar exam. And yet, they can also invent the most bizarre facts with this unshakable confidence. And this isn't just some random glitch, it's actually fundamental to how they work. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this, we first need to get on the same page about what we even mean when we say an AI is hallucinating. So here's the key thing. It's not just that the AI is making a mistake. It's making a mistake and delivering it with the absolute authority of a fact. The AI isn't saying, well, I think, or, maybe this is it. It's stating something completely false as if it's reading it straight from an encyclopedia. And this is not just a chatbot thing. I mean, take a look at this. The video AI Sora was asked to create a video of the famous Glenfinnan Viaduct in Scotland, and it did, but it confidently added a whole second railway track that just, poof, doesn't exist in the real world. It looks totally plausible, but it's a complete fabrication. It's funny. Even the word hallucination itself is a bit of a hot topic. Some researchers argue it's misleading because it makes the AI sound a little too human, like it's having some kind of conscious experience. They'd rather use words like confabulation, which is just a fancy term for creatively filling in the gaps, or, just call it what it is, a fabrication. So the big question is, why? Why does this even happen? To figure that out, we've got to pop the hood and take a look at how these models actually think. Okay, this right here, this is probably the most important thing to understand. An AI like ChatGPT is not searching a giant encyclopedia. It's playing the world's most sophisticated game of what word comes next. It's a prediction engine, through and through, built to generate the most probable, most statistically likely sequence of words, or tokens, based on the trillions of examples it's been trained on. And here's how that game works in a nutshell. First, it takes your prompt and chops it up into these little pieces called tokens. Second, it converts every single one of those tokens into a super complex set of numbers, an embedding that captures its meaning and context. And finally, it uses all that math to predict what it thinks is the most likely token to come next. Now, the secret sauce that makes this all so powerful is a process called attention. This is what allows the model to look at the entire context, not just the word that came right before it. It's like it's weighing the importance of all the words in the sentence, paying more, attention to some than others to build a much richer understanding before making its next move. Think of it like a tiny little web search happening inside the sentence itself. Every word sends out a query, basically asking, hey, what information here is relevant to me? Other words offer up keys, saying, here's the kind of information I have. And when a query and a key match up, the model grabs that word's value, its real meaning, to help inform the next prediction. That's how it builds those incredibly complex relationships between ideas.
And that right there is the heart of the matter. This whole system, the tokens, the math, the attention, it is all optimized for one single thing: generating language that sounds convincing, that sounds plausible. It is not and was never optimized to be truthful. And that is a huge, huge difference.
But this is where the story gets really interesting, because you have to ask, is this tendency to just make stuff up really just a bug that needs to be squashed, or could it actually be a feature in disguise? Because when you really dig into it, you see that AI hallucination is a total double-edged sword. On one hand, it creates some really serious problems, but on the other, it leads to some unbelievable benefits. And the problems are no joke. A lawyer in New York actually submitted a legal brief that cited 6 court cases that were completely invented by ChatGPT. Then there's Air Canada, which was legally forced to honor a refund policy that its own chatbot just made up on the spot. And in the world of science, these AIs are notorious for citing academic papers that just plain don't exist. But then you get the other side of the coin. When David Baker's lab used AI to design millions of brand new proteins, work that was a big part of a Nobel Prize in chemistry, the committee didn't call it a hallucination. No, They called it imaginative protein creation. How cool is that?
And this imaginative skill, oh man, it is a total game changer. Scientists are now using it to design things that have never existed, like a new kind of catheter with sawtooth spikes that literally shred bacteria. They're generating thousands of possible weather futures to predict extreme storms. They're even enhancing blurry medical scans. This bug is actually becoming an engine for discovery.
So where does that leave us? Well, for the people building these things, the challenge isn't as simple as just trying to stamp out every single hallucination. It's a lot more complicated than that. See, the real quest is to manage them, to control them, to understand when an imaginative leap is a brilliant tool, like in protein design, and when it's just plain dangerous, like in a legal document. It's all about building systems that we can actually trust. And developers are coming up with some really clever ways to do this. Things like making the AI do a quick web search to fact-check itself when it's not sure about an answer, or even having multiple AIs debate a topic to find a consensus. Another big one is called grounding, where you basically force the AI to only pull answers from a specific set of trusted documents. So, all of this leaves us with a pretty mind-bending question, doesn't it? We've seen that the exact same mechanism that causes an AI to invent fake legal cases can also help it imagine science that wins Nobel Prizes. So as we build these incredibly powerful new tools, we have to ask ourselves, where exactly is the line between a bug and a feature, between a simple error and an act of pure creation?